attack, fast, fatal, hard impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kure Show here, and now. Before I do begin, sorry for leaving you guys off with a cliffhanger at the end of the last part. I got kind of busy off of the platform, and I've been meaning to upload this. Now, let us begin. Whenever we last left off with this series, we had the Kangen Annihilation matches. Deku fought in his last match and showed a bit more of his Kirei instincts, a bit more of the way Kureis do things. Now, everybody they were caught off guard by this, especially the girls watching Deku return back to his instincts. You had Kirishima, Mino, Momo, and Kendo. These girls, they knew what Deku was like before. They knew what he was like whenever he was that way. They met him those years ago, and they saw for themselves exactly how he was. But they still found him interesting, in a way. They weren't really how they are now. They like the peaceful Deku. They like this person he's become. However, at the same time, there's a problem with that. After Kirishima kissed Deku, Deku's cousin Saki, she put a decision forward for Deku. The rules of the Kure and what he must do. And Kirishima, she, after having been exposed by Saki, has now brought Bakugo into the mix. Now, with that, let's just jump right back into the fight. Izuku Kure versus Ryan Kure. Both of these two men are in the ring, and right now they're both staring each other down. It seems kind of interesting. The two are both standing there, face to face, and the person who's supposed to be the referee, they're just staring at these two, as they themselves are very, very cautious about being in the ring with them. The area is huge, yeah, but he doesn't feel like that's the problem here. He feels like he might be used as a weapon against a Kirei, and he would rather not have his leg twisted off like a drumstick. Now, with that being said, the man, after taking a deep breath, he does bring up his hand and announce to them that they are to begin. As Deku, he does go to bring up his hands, and Ryan does the same thing, as the two both push off of each other's knuckles before going to take a few steps backwards, and getting into different fighting stances. Now, everyone they do look at this. The crowd is silent. No one's cheering, and nothing is playing. Everyone is just fixated on this fight, especially the man who's made it to the semifinals. He's more curious. He knows for a fact that he'll be in the next match, tomorrow. And right now, he's more curious about this fight, since it will determine his opponent. With that being said, back over to the Kureis. Deku, he's in his stance. He has one of his legs tilted up and leaned to the right. His left leg, it's out in front of him and is directly pointed at his uncle. And then there's the way Deku's arms are. Deku's left arm, it's pointed to his left and he does have his fist outwards, somewhat like he's holding a shield. But then there's actually Deku's right hand. It's just underneath and somewhat tucked behind his ribs, as it looks like he's holding a spear at his side. And this does somewhat confuse, well, Ryan, as his stance is a lot more open and out there. Except people can tell he's actually guarding. Ryan's actually guarding some of his vital points, and he knows Deku can take him down, but that was the old him. As the two, they do go rushing forwards at each other. Ryan activating the removal as Deku did so as well. And there actually was the moment these two did collide. Deku threw out his fist and so did Ryan, the two's fists colliding and creating shockwaves. As Deku did go to bring out his other hand, Ryan bringing out his hand as well as Deku, he was able to get the punch close enough before Ryan blocked it. And the two, they did actually start having a bit of a battle of strength. Both of each other holding a fist in the other hand, while the other fist is holding the other person's. And right now they're trying to struggle for dominance, and people can tell. Ryan actually going to throw out one of his legs as Deku does the same thing, being able to block the kick before both of them do go in for a headbutt. And it's kind of odd. Right now everyone is seeing something. It's best akin to a mirror match. Both the two going flying backwards as they do both go to do different things. Ryan does go to rush in, and Deku, he does go to move backwards and go on the offensive. Ryan, he tried going in for a straight solid jab right to the face, as he basically launched off of his feet like a missile. And whenever Deku, he actually got to throw himself backwards a bit, he was able to bring up one of his legs, being able to smash right upwards into his uncle's chest, hitting him right in the gut. Before Deku reaching upwards, he's able to grab Ryan. Ryan actually going to reach down and smash Deku in the back of the head with both of his fists, as he tries to kick Deku in the face. Now, Deku is able to pull him right out of the air as this does happen, him smashing his uncle into the ground as Ryan tries to wrap his legs around him, trying to simply get a hold of Deku. If he can get a hold of him and cause as much damage as he can to the vital points of his body, such as the throat, face, and head, he can win the match. He knows that for sure. And Deku, he actually is someone thinking right now in his head, slamming his uncle down to the ground and going to throw out his fist. The damage he felt from Ryan, he's definitely been training. He's gotten a lot stronger. This will be fun. And that actually is what Deku does think. He does feel blood running down his face. And as he's throwing out his fist, you do actually have where a fist does come smashing right out through one of the defenses, it hitting Deku right in the jaw, as Deku, he does somewhat slump backwards for a second. Ryan actually going to try to jump forwards and smash Deku in the face again, trying to reverse this attack on him. Now, Deku himself does try to get free of Ryan's defenses, him having to actually move one of his hands out of the way as Ryan is trying to swing at him and Deku's trying to dodge, and jab it right into his uncle's knee, right into the meat and bone, as Deku does start to part through the muscle with some of his fingers. Ryan actually going to let go of the hold before Deku can do too much damage to his leg. And Deku, after being swiftly kicked in the head or in the side, Ryan does scurry to his feet and go to back away, as everyone does watch him. Right now, he's standing on his feet and he's in another stance. And there actually is Deku. He's still sitting on the ground, as he does go to slowly stand up and get ready, bringing up his hands, showing his fingers that are covered in blood, as Deku does inform Ryan that he's not going to lose this match, and he's going to go for 3-0, since this isn't like when they used to spar when they were younger, or whenever he was still a child. Right now, Ryan has never beaten him in a match, and the fact that he thinks he can here is laughable. And Ryan, he does stare at his nephew. Deku, he's grinning like a psycho, and everyone they can see the true nature of the Kure. They thought he was a calm, quiet person. They thought he was different. But right now, he's proving he's like every other Kure there is. As Ryan, he does somewhat feel proud of his nephew. While that anger, that emotion, what he's feeling and what he's seeing, it does give him great pride in him. It does give him great enjoyment in seeing his nephew return back to his nature. It also does give him some concern. Now, Ryan does rush forwards, as Deku, he does go to activate the loan. And Ryan, he is more worried about that, as whenever Ryan does go rushing in, Deku, he's standing there. Ryan actually smashed right into Deku's gut, as Deku, he does go to wrap his body around and over his uncle, going to reach for the bottom of his abs as Deku just going to lock his arms. Ryan pushing him backwards as everyone just watch. He just keeps going and going and going. And for now, they're not too sure when he'll stop. Until Deku, he does go to dig his feet down, and Ryan, he does go to move forwards. Deku being able to pick up his uncle by his waist and slam his head right into the ground. As whenever Deku does so, he does go to bring him back upwards, smashing him over and over and over again. Before after, they're going to bring him upwards and smashing him down again. Deku actually has to back up for a second, grabbing his uncle by his legs and going to pull him out, before somebody just turning and swinging him right into the wall like a bat. As the concrete does shatter and break, and Deku he does repeat the process. Now, Ryan, yeah, he does start to take on this beating, and everyone they do watch Deku. As whenever Ryan he does go to get back onto his feet, he does stare directly at Deku. The man barely looks battle damaged, and everyone they're more surprised at this. He's clearly taking on damage, and right now he does look somewhat more serious in any other matches than they've seen before. And this does worry them. Now, Deku is staring at his uncle, and Ryan he does go rushing forwards with a burst of speed. This actually catching Deku off guard, as whenever Deku did go to try to throw out his hand, he did somewhat move. As Deku he does go to look around, he can't see his uncle. Where'd he go? Where'd he... Ryan actually being able to get Deku into a hold, and this does catch Deku off guard. He didn't even register his uncle behind him. How? When? Now, Ryan does hold on to Deku, as Deku is going to move his legs backwards while Ryan tries to dig his legs forwards, or bending his legs backwards as Deku is trying to move backwards as well, and trying to stop Deku from moving. Now, Deku tries to bring up his hands to attack his uncle's forearm, as Ryan he does try to talk. This is the only safe place to speak. What are you talking about? Deku is starting to dig his hands into his uncle's forearm. Everywhere else is bugged. What? Deku actually somewhat coming a bit more to his senses. No, wait, this is a trick. That's what he does think. In his mind, he thinks this might be a trick. This has got to be. His uncle has always taught him about deception, about different things. Your opponent will always say something like that. They have a family. Oh, they can't do that. This person they have to take care of. If they die, this. Deku's heard it all before. Reasons to stop. Reasons not to kill. Reasons not to be what he was always been. And right now, Deku, he can't help but just think back on all of it. It does piss him off. It brings him rage. Deku actually being able to dig his hands in deeper to his uncle's forearm. As whenever Ryan, he does feel the immense pain, he actually does go to do one simple thing. Him going to back away with one of his arms before going to pull his fist backwards, jamming Deku in the back as hard as he can. Now, there's one simple phrase you can put here. Kidney shot, kidney shot, kidney shot. Pause, and sucker punch. Now, Ryan, whenever he does deliver the sucker punch, he actually does cause a bit of damage to Deku's ribs. As Deku, yeah, he does feel something crack. And Ryan, while he does have the amount of damage to his forearm that would render it unusable under normal circumstances, there's the upgrade he's received. As whenever he does go to back away from Deku, he does stare at him. And Deku, he does just simply turn around, before going to wipe the blood off of his face and spitting something out. As everyone, they do see the, amount of blood. As Deku does smile, and it does disturb them. However, we do cut up to the observation room with the girls. They've all walked back to the room, and some of them, while they have been watching, Kirishima and Bakugo, yeah, they're just staring at disbelief. What is happening down there? And why? And then there's actually Deku. What's going through his head? Everything is turning red. It's just molding together. It's merging. He can't help it. His emotions, his rage, his instincts, they're all collapsing in on each other. And right now, Deku can't help but just return back to that nature. Well, Ryan, he's trying to somewhat reason with Deku here, or talk with him and fight him. Deku doesn't see it as that. Ryan's trying to embarrass him in his first Kengan match. And right now, that's not going to happen. As the two girls, or the two fighters, my bad, they do rush towards each other. And everybody in the arena, even the girls, they do watch and witness this burst of power. The two, they do seemingly disappear from the ring. However, the fighters, they're the only ones able to see them. Right now, Deku and Ryan, they're moving fast. Faster than the normal human eye can see. And people are watching. They're watching in awe. Right now, there's smoke flying all around the ring. There's just waves of air coming off. It's insane. And the walls are starting to collapse around them. Some of these cement walls that they've put up around the ring, they're just being smashed into over and over again. It's just a bloody battle. Eventually, after about 5 or so minutes, we do have the two fighters. Deku's standing there. He's still trying to come to somewhat of a reasonable excuse as to how his uncle might have done it. He's gotten close to him again. Meanwhile, you do actually have Ryan. He himself is staring at Deku, wondering how he himself has gone this far with his power. How he's pushed the Kure to this level of power. Now, Deku, in truth, he has not been holding back. He's been going at around 90%, possibly even more. And that's without one for all. And you do have Ryan. Ryan, he's more concerned. As right now he's staying there. One of his hands, they're practically unusable, but he's still trying to fight. He has the arm Deku dug his fingers into, all 10 of them, or 8 of them actually. Right now, that arm, you could probably see the bone protruding out of it, if that can even really be considered a bone. There's something sticking out of his arm, possibly a piece of shrapnel from the ring? Maybe? Just the area around. And then there's the look on his face. Along with his body, he's soaked in blood. And then there's actually Deku. The man, he's just staying there smiling like a psychopath. It's practically the same situation. He has punctures and slashes all over his body. He's got a literal, hole right there in one of his arms, where a bone is sticking out. He's got a broken hand. And from what the looks of it might be, they think a part of his back may have been injured. They can't tell, they just know that there's a bunch of blood pouring out of one of Deku's sides. And yet he's still standing there. Right now, Deku, he feels it. He feels it. The damage from the previous matches. Everything. All of it's coming together. And Deku, he can't help but feel that instinct, that monster inside. Right now, it's ringing in his ear. And he actually does hear one simple thing. It sounds like a door opens and something hits the ground. The sound of chains rattling. And Deku, his eyes, they do fixate directly on Ryan. Now, Deku, as he does stare directly down at Ryan, he does do one simple thing. Whenever he does go to step forwards and move, everybody can feel the area around Deku. The Kure bloodlust from activating the removal, it's one thing. But whenever Deku suddenly just steps forwards, and he seems to go for something else, the energy around him, it feels like it all just does change. Everyone feels paralyzed in their seat. They feel like a snake is wrapping around their back, and it's about to kill them. It's about to stick its fangs right there in their neck. No one can move. And right now, the only person who isn't practically pissing their pants is Ryan. He's still staying there in the ring. However, this did catch him off guard. This insane bloodlust coming off of Deku. It's just too much. It actually does somewhat make him falter for a second. He does go from getting ready to go on the offensive to going for a defensive stance. And the moment he did, Deku disappeared from his sight. And he did actually reappear right behind Ryan. Hello. Ryan going to spin back around. The moment Ryan does spin around, Deku, he does go to do one simple thing. He takes the fist right in the face. Ryan smashing Deku, as Deku, he actually does somewhat spin his head and turn. Before going to look back at Ryan. And after spitting a tooth in his face, he does do one simple thing. Ryan, he saw that. The blood in his eye distracted him for a second, him going to actually turn his head to go to bring up one of his hands. As Deku went to go grab him by the throat and go to do one simple thing. Throw him right over his shoulder and smash him into the ground as hard as he could. As the moment that happened, everybody, they felt it. The entire arena shaked. And everybody, they were just sitting there surprised, stunned, shocked. As right there, the entire arena practically left in ruins thanks to the Kirei. This battle, this fight, it was all done and over with. Almost in an instant. Just that monster. The one in the ring. It can't be considered human. Now, everybody they do watch. The moment Deku seemingly just planted his uncle into the ground, he turned to go to walk away. And that caught the guy who's supposed to be the referee off guard. He's somewhat trying to hide behind one of these destroyed walls, hoping that it's finally over. And they're actually going for Deku to go to turn in his direction. The man actually going to hide behind the wall as Deku does tell the jackass that the man's not getting back up, so either start fucking counting or get him to the ER. Now, everybody they do stare at Deku. As Deku, he does get to do one simple thing. He walks away and goes somewhere. As he heads directly to the bathroom. Now, everyone can tell Deku he needs to be left alone. The girls don't know what to say. All of them, they're just standing there. They're just, well, whatever happened, Meanwhile, you do actually have over with Inko, Deku's sister, or Yuya, and, well, Deku's cousin. She's always respected her cousin. Izuku was something unique, different among the Kirei. But what she just witnessed, what she just saw, it's unrefined. It's so, well, demonic in nature. And it has to be it. What she just witnessed was the awakening of a new generation of Kirei. With her very eyes, she watched it happen. Now, this does interest her. Meanwhile, we do actually cut over to Deku. Right now, he's standing in the bathroom, and he's rinsing his face off. As he does go to look up in the mirror, and he does see what's looking back at him. A bloody, beaten face, along with that, purple knuckles, and some skin missing from certain ones. Deku going to look over his broken arm, as he's going to push the bone down and back into place, before going to move his broken hands. Now, Deku is going to look back up in the mirror. The moment he glances back into it, he does see somebody standing there. They're wearing his face, but they're not doing the same thing he is. So, you're finally back, aren't you? Shut up. Why not? Why? You buried me away so long ago. You know this is what you want, isn't it? You know this is what you were destined for, always meant to do. This is exactly what Kireis are. Monsters, demons even. Come on, Kill. Go ahead, do it. I know you want to. You wanted to kill Ryan for what he did to grandfather, didn't you? Now, the moment Deku did hear mention of grandfather, he just went to go throw out his fist, smashing his fist through the mirror and through the wall. As whenever Deku did go to pull it backwards, he just gonna look down into the sink. Everything he does think, everything he's just heard and saw, it pisses him off. And Deku he does reach into the sink and do one thing. He grabs a shard of glass. As we do cut to a bit of time later, Deku didn't come out for dinner. And he didn't really seem to be in the mood to be disturbed. Someone tried to bring him food. Meanwhile, Kirishima and Bakugo, they tried to discuss exactly what happened earlier with the girls. Kirishima coming clean a bit, but leaving out one little detail. She tried to explain to Deku what he was feeling was called an emotion. It's something that you feel about yourself. It's something that you have towards other people. And she tried actually prying a bit about what Deku felt about them. Deku, he seems to have some sort of interest in them. And meanwhile, you do actually have apparently how Cure's do things. It does come as a shock to everybody, but at the same time, it also does seem kind of reasonable. Yeah, Cure's. These people who are bloodthirsty, who are love combat, my bad, and who are seemingly assassins, bounty hunters, you name it. Anything that has to do with bloodshed, murder, or hunting somebody down. They're just the apex of everything. The apex of violence. It makes sense that they don't know emotions like this. These are more down-to-earth emotions. These are more grounded human emotions. And the fact that Deku was confused by them was troubling. Since the only way Deku can take a spouse or a person of interest, like a woman, is if they're on par with a Kirei, or they're deemed worthy by their systems. And this does somewhat surprise people by that. Apparently the Kure are very strict on this. And it's the reason why Deku is the person he is today. He's like a purebred. He's been bred for violence, bred for murder. And it just disturbs them all. The fact that Deku was born into this life and he just doesn't know how to escape it, falling into this pattern again, they need to help him. And with that being said, we do actually cut over to Deku's room, where he's entered and has not come out. He's at least confirmed he was inside. And while that's going on, we do have where Deku is standing out by the balcony. He's on the patio area right outside of his room. And he is just looking out at the island, looking out at the moon. And he does just think. The last time he was at this resort, the last time he was on this island, he was a different person. He wasn't, well, trained by people who are peacekeepers. He wasn't trained by people who've been able to hone their demons. He wasn't the same person he is now. And Deku, he does think that. As he does go to hold up the hair he used to have, the hair he cut from his head. The moment he cut this hair, it showed that he broke something. It showed he broke the promise to himself. And Deku, he does go to let it go in the wind. As you do actually have Saki. She does actually go to jump down from the roof. Her asking if he really was going to go through all that symbolic crap. Deku not even really turning, watching it still fly away. I should tell you something like that. How about that? So you're finally back, aren't you? Not back, exactly. I still have a lot of shit to work through. And if you want to fight, how about we work through it like that? I pile drive you into the ground for old time's sake. Hmm? Especially with what I just learned about myself. Deku going to look down at his nails. They do seem to be sharper, and he doesn't know how to put it. His body feels like it's going through something. He feels like it's changing, evolving even. And he doesn't know what he's going to turn into. Now, this actually does somewhat surprise Saki, asking if grandfather protected him. Hmm? Of course he did. Now you know, don't you? Hmm? No? That's a shock. The fact that you're like this early, your children, my children, hell, our grandchildren, your grandchildren, mine, one of them should have been it, not you. And grandfather knew that, didn't he? Of course he did. The man knew everything about Cure's, so he knew it would happen. I hate that it's me, though. Why? Because of your father. He killed our grandfather. What proof do you have about this? A note that simply says, don't trust your uncle by your grandfather, and a fucking car. What else do you want me to say to you? You need to stop. What? You don't like me now that I'm back? You don't like me now that I'm not talking to you the way you want me to? Get used to it. Hell, I gotta get used to it too. Now, Deku is gonna look down at his arm, as he does gonna clench his broken hand. He's able to form it into a fist. And Saki, she actually does notice that, asking if his hand is hurting. Not really. Then again, Kireis don't experience pain that way, remember? It feels strange. A different strange. Now, Saki doesn't want to question that, no matter how curious she is. And she does just go to leave now. With that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.